Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Monir Azzouzi from easymedicaldevice.com. And today we will try to help you understand how to, if I can say, how to have a job, if I can say a job that you like or you want to have, and how also to maybe use the online presence, your online presence, or as I call it, personal branding in terms of online presence to get it. And I have with me Karandeep Badwal, who will help us to do this and to discuss about this topic, because really it will be a discussion between us. And Karandeep was here in other episodes where we discussed about also how to find a job, if I can say, on the internet. So Karandeep, welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast.
Thank you for having me, Monir. So I'll start with an introduction. My name is Karandeep Badwal. I'm a quality and regulatory consultant specializing in medical devices at my firm here at QRA Medical.
And so, Karandeep, as I said, we had you, I think, on some episodes before. We discussed also a lot about our experiences on looking for a job or getting some people contact us to get a job. And I hope, today we can provide, if I can say, some advices to people about how to do that correctly, because we have some examples where it was not done really in a good way. So. What do you think? We can start with maybe just giving some information about maybe your experience on how to do that specifically on LinkedIn, for example.
Yes, so my experience of LinkedIn is to do with the approach, and that's what many people get wrong. People think because it's an online platform, it's not like real life. But reality is that's the way you need to treat it. I often get messages on LinkedIn where people just send me a CV. It says, "Hi, Karandeep, please find me a job." And that's not the correct way to do it. It's like if a stranger approached you in the street, hands you a copy of the CV and says, "Please find me a job," and walks away, you're not going to take them very seriously. The way that you need to actually do it is you need to build some sort of rapport with that person. So, for example, if they are publishing articles, they're publishing videos, interact with them, build a relationship with that person, maybe comment on some of their posts and ask them questions based on whatever they might be a subject matter expert in. And then once you build that relationship, you can tell them, okay, I'm on the market, I'm looking for this particular job. But the second most important thing I like to see why is if you're not getting a job, it means that, it can be for several reasons, but tell me what you've already done. If you've been on the market for 6 months and you've been applying to certain types of jobs, and maybe that you're applying to the wrong sorts of jobs, and that's why you're not getting a response. Maybe it could be your experiences and issues. So you need to be very specific as to why it is that you're not getting that job. And then somebody can actually help you.
Yeah, I see also on LinkedIn that people are using posts to just publish their CV and say, "Oh, can you find me a job?" Sometimes I'm looking at those CV just to see what it is, but it's not really catchy, if I can say. It's not really. When I see CVs now, I just pass. I don't stop to read what they are doing, because mainly it's LinkedIn is a platform for every job or every people. So it's not like specialized on medical devices, for example. So do you think this is also something that can help, or is it like you have only one way to do it, or you can use many ways and try to reach this objective here?
With this objective, there's no wrong or right way of doing it. I have my own methods. Other people have their own methods. It's all about doing what works best for you. What works for me may not work for another person. But the important thing is you go out there and experiment. If one method is not working for you, fine, go out and try another. The mistake that people are making is they're sticking to the same method again and again, and that's why they're not getting the results that they're looking for.
Yeah, on the example that people are contacting on LinkedIn, I have also the same example. So I have some people which contact me and say, "Oh, I see that you have a firm in Europe, and can you provide me a job? And here is my CV." And okay, it's a direct message. So I say, okay, let's look at his CV. And when I look at the CV, it has no quality regulatory affairs experience at all. He's working, for example, in banks. And because we talk about banks and it talks about compliance, they think that it's the same in the medical device thing. I have a compliance experience in the bank, so it should be the same. It's just reading an article of laws, if I can say, on medical devices, which is not really the reality here. So there is also a lot of people that are, we call that cold calling. So it's mainly cold. They send you just a cold email. So just to say, I send that to every people possible, and then maybe one will be sticking on it. But there is this methodology. I don't say it's not working. I just say that maybe it takes a lot of efforts to send 1,000 maybe requests to peoples. But the methodology I would really recommend is really to really laser focus on really one or 2 or 3 organizations that you really want to work for, and to see exactly what they are doing, and then to customize, if I can say, your approach to them, which is normally what you are doing also during an interview. When you are on an interview, you are making some research on companies, and then you are approaching them and then working with them and everything. So another thing that, I mean, we talked also about, we talk specifically about LinkedIn, but I think there is other groups that they can also attend. It's not only LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the platform for professional social media, if I can say, but do you know any other platform or something that people can use also for contacting, if I can say, to be able to contact other people on the same industry?
Yes, so there's a website called Collabtree, and Collabtree is where, subject matter experts go online and advertise their services. And not necessarily that you want to buy their services, but it's a really good way to find people in your subject field that you can get into contact with. Of course, you have your own Easy Medical Device Telegram platform as well, where, you share the latest news, white papers, any changes in regulations. So those are the two I'm aware. And of course, there's the MDG Premium as well by Joe Hage in the USA. So that's another group you can go into. So yeah, like you said, LinkedIn is the main platform, but then there are also other lots of platforms as well, which my argument would be that if you target the smaller platforms, you're more likely to get the success that you're looking for, because LinkedIn has millions and millions of people and your message can get lost. If you go onto a platform which only has hundreds of people, your message is going to get noticed a lot more.
No, I think it's good, and you're right. So yeah, I have the Telegram platform where I'm trying to share information. There is also a chat link to it, so if people want to ask questions, they can ask questions directly on the group, on the Telegram group. The one with the MDG Premium with Joe Hage, so I think it's an interesting one. If you are really specialized in quality and regulatory affairs, or if you are specialized in medical devices, let's say not quality and regulatory affairs, but in medical devices, because there is people that are really from marketing, from design, from testing, from software, from even some customers and some quality and regulatory affairs people that are working together, and sometimes they are bringing also projects and say, okay, do you have somebody who can help me on this or on that? And there is a lot of discussion, there is a lot of things. So, but it is specialized for medical devices. So it's also something that I would recommend. So the MDG Premium with Joe Hage, who has created that. Okay, so now, if I can say, we are having those groups. I think there is also other groups. I mean, I'm part, for example, of a WhatsApp group for Middle East. I'm about another group in Telegram also, where other people are gathering and asking questions. So there is a lot of groups, so it's not just one. So I think just being part of this, even if you are not active on those groups, just listening what the people are doing, are asking, searching, maybe making some contacts one-on-one with people, you start then to create your network. And this is really what people have to think about. It's not like just, I will contact anybody, but it takes more time, but try to build your network. And this is maybe something that we will really recommend people to do. So in terms of companies, so mainly, as I've said, we are targeting some companies. So say, okay, let's work for this or let's work for that. But when we are talking about consulting, so if people are really trying to push to consulting, so what do you think would be the best approach to do to maybe arrive to this business alone or through another consulting firm, so that can be working correctly?
Personally, there's two methods of going about it. There's number one, which is going alone and using your network and establishing your own limited liability company and acting as a consultancy. And then what you can do in that, you can take on projects. And if there's anything that, you perhaps don't have the capacity to take on, you can outsource that to somebody. Or you have the second method, is which you work with a consultancy where the network is already there, the subject matter experts are already there, and you just focus on what you want to work on, and then maybe you can reach out to other consultants. Personally, I think you need to have a blend of both. You can't rely on one and then not have the other, and that generally is the smartest option to do. So yeah, there are many big companies out there. For example, there's Caduceum, which is based in France, but they also do a lot of contracts based around Europe. We also have Matrix as well, which is quite popular here and also in the USA. And, there's many other smaller firms out there too. So my personal opinion is, yes, have your own company as well, but then also partner with consultant firms, because that's how you're really going to build your network. And the key here as a consultant, it's all network based. You can't just sit there. It's not like normal jobs where you can just send out a CV, you get hired. Everything is based on your network and what you have as your reputation.
No, I think it's great, and I confirm that the network is really what is working correctly. I mean, if you start with this kind of job, if you have been already always on corporate and it's the first time you arrive to kind of consulting job, it can be really difficult at the beginning, because I think we have some people that have more the mindset of corporate job, so starting at 9 in the morning, finishing at 4 or 5 in the evening, etc., and then having their weekend and everything. And you have the ones that are more like in the entrepreneurship mindset, which they don't count hours, and they try to do everything that it's possible. I call them the one that have no plan B. So it's only the one that have a plan A. So they have no choice. They have to succeed, or because there is no plan B at all. And this is the ones that really succeed, because when you have a plan B, you can say, okay, let's stop here. I think it's enough. Let's go back to a normal job or whatever. But when you don't have a plan B, then I think it's the best for you to then move forward. I have also another tool that, I mean, if people are looking for some consulting firms and they don't know which one to go for, I know that Unique created a website which is called Quality Engine. So Quality Engine is grouping. It's like the yellow papers for medical devices. So if you look for a consulting firm, if you look for a laboratory, for an importer, distributor, etc. So normally this is there. It's quite new, so maybe the database is not completely filled, but you can go and find some consulting firms that maybe you can contact and then try to see, okay, do they have maybe some position or some jobs, and they can maybe get your CV also, and when they will have some opportunity, they can call you also. So it can be something that can work also. I mean, I am doing also that. I have some people that are really interesting and that I keep their CV. The fact is I don't have a mission or somebody that is really can really be interested by that for now. So as soon as I have somebody, then I contact them and say, okay, I have a mission for you. So will you be interested to work on that? And then it can work. So it's really, as I've said, really, don't be patient. I think on this kind of thing, be really patient because, I mean, at one point it will work, but it's not something that works like an overnight success. I'm always saying it's people are talking to other people when you are good. So if you have anything that, if you have really done a great job with the other missions, the word will really start to be spread to say this guy is really doing a great job. So then it can work also. In terms of when you start, I mean, this is my experience now. So in terms, and I think yours also, in terms of starting your consulting activity, mainly I didn't start like, okay, let's go and I will try to look for customers. I started at the beginning with online marketing. So mainly, even if I was working on a corporate job, I was having a blog. Then I started to have videos, a YouTube channel. Then I started to have podcasts. But I was not a consultant at that time. I was still working on my corporate job. So my idea is more about personal branding. So to show to people that I know what I'm doing, I know my subject, I know what I'm talking about. Instead of, as I've said to you before, placing CVs, if I can say, on LinkedIn to say, oh, here is my CV, look at it and hire me. So this was really my first idea. And after a certain time, people started to contact me to help them on project, but I said it was not my first intention. But more and more I saw that there is more and more people that were contacting me, and then I started to say, okay, let's think about consulting firm and then helping people out of that. So how did it work for you exactly?
Yeah, so how it started with me with consultancy, I did something which I really don't recommend for people, which was I had a full-time job and I was doing contracting part-time. What that would mean was I had to rearrange lunch breaks, I had to rejig a lot of things to, get actually that contract. But just like you said, I started doing a lot of marketing. I started making videos on LinkedIn. I participated in some of your previous podcasts. I was sort of sharing posts, but I did it just like you because I really enjoyed medical devices. I really enjoyed talking about it and sharing my knowledge with people. And as a side effect of it, people started watching my video and say, okay, Karandeep understands what he's doing. Or I will make a video on ISO 13485 and a company will reach out and say, hi, Karandeep, we're trying to get ISO 13485 certified. Can you help me? So that's the real thing. I think the trick here is don't just make content for the purpose of having a job. Make content that actually helps people, that somebody can gain value from. People then realize that you are a subject matter expert and you understand what you're talking about. And the side effect of that is you get hired. But number two, the key is you need to be consistent. You can't just make one video, walk away, not make another one, expect that same video to keep bringing you roles. You need to be very consistent in what you do. So yeah, it is a brilliant way of doing it, but you need to put a lot of time in at first. The first few months, the first weeks, or sometimes even the first few years, you're not going to see the results that you want to see. But if you stay consistent over a long period of time, it's going to get to a point where you start turning away jobs, because that's a brilliant position to be in, where you're constantly at capacity. There's always plenty of work, and that's generally what you're aiming for. So consistency, and be aware that these results come over time and not overnight.
Yeah, no, I think you are completely right. And just to prove you that, first, in terms of consistency, I started my podcast and I made, if I can say, I signed a contract between myself and the podcast, if I can say, to say every week of the year, every week there will be a podcast episode. Every week. So it's not like, oh, I will do it once and then I'll stop 1 or 2 weeks and come back to it, etc. No, my mission, my commitment, if I can say, was that every week there will be a podcast that will be released. And for now, I succeeded. Since I started the podcast, every week there was a podcast starting. And what was funny also is the fact that I had some people that contacted me for a certain mission. And they said to me, I contacted you because I'm following you since your first podcast. So I'm following you since now 2 years. And after that, when a mission came and they asked, oh, do you know a consultant to do that? And I immediately thought about you and wanted to work with you on that. And this is, as you said, how consistency can help you in the long term to say, okay, people, if they really like what you are doing, if they really follow what you are doing, then at one point they will contact you and they will ask you to help them. I see a lot of people that are now also starting a podcast, people that are also starting to make videos where they are sharing experiences, which is for me really great, because I think this is the right method for you to show that you are able to do a certain job and to really help those manufacturers. So you have also a YouTube channel. You have that, but you don't have a podcast for now.
No, it's like I said, Monir, as well. It's everything that you do, you need to be consistent with it. I don't want to start a podcast, like you say, and then realize I can't commit to one episode a week. So at the moment, I'm only doing things that I know that I can commit the time for. I'm not the kind of guy to start something and then, just walk away.
No, I think it's a good point here. But you are always welcome to my podcast if you want to share any knowledge. So fine for me. In terms of podcasting, so actually, I'm listening to some of them, not all, because there is some top. What is interesting in podcasting is the fact that you can read the title of the podcast and then see, okay, it's interesting for you or not. Because when it's interesting, then you say, okay, let's listen, or no, don't need to listen. So just I want to share my playlist of podcasts that I'm listening. So the first one is the one really I started even before me starting a podcast. It was the Greenlight Guru podcast with John Spear. And I don't know if when this episode will go live, this will be released or not, but I just recorded an episode with John Spear, with Greenlight Guru. And I'm really proud of that, because I said, okay, I was listening to him before even I was kind of on this area of social media and everything. And now I'm recording a podcast with him and I'm doing that. So it was really, really great. And I was really proud of that, because I say it's like meeting you are a fan of somebody or doing something, and then meeting those people or discussing with those people, and then doing a project with those people, which is really something that was really great for me. So I don't know if it will be released, but you can listen to Greenlight Guru and there will be normally a podcast episode with me. The other one is the QMed podcast with Hélène Equi. She has really the same kind of type of podcast as me, so she's trying also to interview people. There is another one which has nothing to do with the medical devices, but it's more with pharmaceutical, which is called Quality Talk with Jan Kugel. It's more of pharma, but there is a lot of similarities with medical devices, because they are talking a lot about quality, how to avoid some issues, how to address this issue. And here you can see that pharma and devices do have a lot of commonality in terms of management of quality. And the last one is, it was, because it changed, it was Raka Today with Mitch Robbins, but now it changed to Lean Raka Today with Michelle Lott. So they have switched, if I can say, the presenter and also the title, which is also something that is great. So for me, I advise you to listen to other podcasts. I'm not asking you to listen specifically to those ones, but I'm advising you really to listen to this kind of podcast where you will learn something, where there will be really some information that can be provided and that can help you to then discuss about that with a future employer or with any other people that is coming inside your network, and that you can really help them also on that. Do you have other podcasts than those ones, or?
Yeah, so there's a recent one. I've just been featured on it as well. Again, I'm not sure when this episode will go live. Possibly it's live or not by the time it's recorded. But it's called Medtech Futures by Simon Curtis. Yeah. It's fairly new. And what it is, he's someone who works in the recruitment field of medical devices. So it's not necessarily a knowledge-based podcast. He contacts experts in the field and just asks them about their life story. You know, how did they start? What made them passionate about it? Because I think that's another part to it as well. There's number one is knowledge. And number two, a lot of people want to know is like, why is this such a good field to work in? And it's really good that we spread that message.
Yeah, I think I will get contacted also for this podcast. We had the first discussion, and I don't know when we can maybe record that. But yeah, I got contacted with that. And I think it's also important to understand the story of the people, because there are some people that are seeing us, if I can say, maybe on a podcast or on a channel or whatever, and they say, oh, it's an overnight success, or it's something that works. No, it's something that took a lot of years. So for me, it was like 4 years now, or 3 years that I'm starting my journey. And when I started, I already knew that it will be maybe around 2 to 3 years that maybe I will make something with that. But before that, it was really hustling, like do it, even if it's not working, even if just one person is listening to you, do it, continue to do it. And then it worked afterwards. But yeah, I think it's also important to listen to this podcast where people are telling their stories, because then it's going to inspire you also, because maybe you are also following the same pathway. So I think it's interesting. Do you have another one?
That's all I know of at the moment. But like I said, with the pandemic, a lot of people have time on their hands, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of other podcasts will be coming on the market. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out in the future. Yeah, no, I think it's good. But I really advise you, if I can say, to start a podcast. Not maybe doing it like me, because I'm doing also the video. But for doing just the audio, it can be also maybe easier for you. If you want any advice on doing that, contact me. I'm really happy to do that and to help you on this. Because yeah, I mean, as we are always saying, so when you are trying to help people with money, it's more like I'm giving you money and I have less money. But when it's about knowledge, I'm giving you my knowledge, but I have still the knowledge. So it's not like I'm losing something. So it's really helping you also by doing things. So don't hesitate if you need any knowledge or any information to help you to do this kind of thing. So I will be really happy to help you there. Any other advice maybe for people that are looking for more network or knowledge for getting a job here? Yeah, build your network before you need it. So that's one thing that I did. When I started off in the medical devices field, I was connecting to people like yourselves. I got into contact with many people. This was well before I even became a consultant, when I was in the corporate world. But I always had that vision in my mind that I wanted to have my own consultancy. That's the path that I wanted to take. So the idea being is that when I was ready to leave the corporate world and go out on my own as a consultant, the network was already there. The mistake that a lot of people are doing is they're sticking in corporate, keeping a corporate network. And then when they decide to leave, they either become a contractor or set up their own consultancy. They are then trying to build that network. And that's the mistake that people are doing. Build it before you need it. So the idea being that when you're ready and it's there, it's in front of you. That's what people are doing. It's almost like people are trying to build a car, and then what they're doing they realize at the end of it is they're not putting the wheels on the car. So they're sitting in the car, they're ready to drive, but there's no wheels on there, so they can't move forward. So the network is like the wheels. That's what keeps you driving forward, basically. No, I think it's good. And most of the people I'm talking with who went from corporate to consulting, one thing that was in common, and it was not my case, but it was in common for them, is the fact that their first mission was their mission with their current employer. So it was not like they had to find somebody on the field. It was like, okay, I will quit my job to be a consultant, but I will ask my employer if he needs me as a consultant on this job or on a job within its company. And then most of the time it's yes, because they are really helping. It's not like they are here to say, oh, you quit us, so then we don't help you anymore. No, they are really trying to help you also, which is also a good thing here. So, okay, great. So I hope myself that this helps you really to go through your journey to find a job.
a corporate job or to find a consulting job. But yeah, the idea is here really that we try to give you some tips on how to do that. As I said, online marketing can be one thing. So to build your presence there, trying to find some consulting firm that you can really work for, trying to be part of some groups also, as we talked, so MDG Premium Group or some Telegram, WhatsApp group, etc. And also listening a lot of the podcasts that you can on your field so that you can learn. And you can also maybe discover people that you can contact afterwards and then maybe also have some talk with them. So it's important that, as I said, that you stay awake and you really understand who is on the field and who you can contact and work with those people also. Okay, so Karandeep, something else?
No, I think we've covered everything out there. And what I say, and I've always said this as well, medical devices is a fantastic field to work in. Quality and regulatory is a really enjoyable job. You know, if you're the kind of person where every single day has to be different, you like to be presented with new problems, you're not doing the same thing day in, day out, this is one of those industries to get into.
No, great. Okay, so thank you, Karandeep. Okay, so for everybody, if you really like this episode, so please don't forget to provide some review on your podcast provider, so Spotify or Apple or Google Podcast or wherever you are listening to it. If you are watching that also on your YouTube channel, don't hesitate also to provide a comment if you are interested. So if you have any question, provide a comment on the YouTube channel. I will be happy to help you. Also on the podcast webpage. If you provide any comment, and I can also ask Karandeep to help to answer those questions. But yeah, we are really here to help you. There is no kind of things we'll hold, and so don't hesitate. And I will really try to help you to get a job or to really do what you really want to do. So mainly this is the objective here. Okay, Karandeep. So really, thank you for your help. Thank you for your support, and I wish you a nice day.
Thank you. You too, Monir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.